Computer. Episode 11. Cam, bam, bam. After a long await, we're a few days behind, and we apologize about that. But the boys are back. Cam,
the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town.
Take us off, my friend.
We're back. Episode 11 of the Fat Katz podcast. I'm Cam Taylor, joined by my co-host Ward Sewell. Today we've got a great episode for you. For a timestamp, today is June 21st, 2023. I want to start out this show by saying Happy Father's Day and Happy Juneteenth to all of our listeners out there. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Of course, I want to give a huge shout out before we start to my father and all my grandfathers and also all my uncles. These guys played huge roles in my lives, and I'm sure Ward wants to give a shout out to some people as well.
Absolutely, Cam. Kind of banking off that. I know you pretty much hit the nail on the head with the dads and, the uncles, stepdads, all that. I want to give a shout out to the coaches as well, as athletes, and a lot of our listeners as former athletes. Coaches have had a huge impact on all of our lives on the field and off the field, on the court and off the court. So, shout out to the coaches out there, dads. We did a big segment for Mother's Day, so I want to do the same thing for Father's Day. But no, we are happy to be back, and let's do it, baby. Episode 11.
Yep, Ward. So we start out every show with the weekend recap, but today, with it being Wednesday, we'll kind of combine the front end of the week and the weekend. So I know you've had a busy couple days, hence why we've been a few days late. But go ahead and tell me how your weekend and week have been so far.
Absolutely, Cam, and thanks for passing it off to us. So for our listeners that follow me, I think most of y'all follow me on social media. The past 2 days, I've been in New Jersey. That is why we're pushing. We had to push back. I had some work stuff going on in Newark, New Jersey. Not sure if anybody has ever been there that is our big-time listeners, but Newark is a piece of shit. Newark it smelled like I don't even know how you can mix the smell of sewage and cigarettes, but that's what it smelled like. Newark is literally a subtile of New York City. New York City you could see over here, and then Newark, it's like it's right on water, so it's like a bunch of container ships there, and there's just not much there. I went to the YMCA this morning trying to get a lift in. Me and Cam were both on our Goggins stuff this morning. Shout out David Goggins, but I went to the YMCA in Newark, and it was like I was working out in a basement. It was almost like I don't even know how to describe it. It was like a middle school basement gym. The equipment was outdated, but that was my wrap up of Newark. But we flew in this afternoon. We're back in the home state, the best state in the world, or best state in the country, North Carolina. Cam, what about you, man? How's the week been going on for you so far?
Yeah, man, I had a good weekend. I was up in, as many of you know, I'm a frequent flyer to the great state of West Virginia, and I'll be touching on that later in the podcast. But got to see the grandparents, got to see Dad for Father's Day, so extremely excited for that. And
what'd y'all do for Father's Day?
Yeah, man. So I ended up taking Dad out to dinner in Charleston, and then it was also my Uncle Eddie's birthday, and then my two cousins' birthday. So I want to give a huge shout out to Sam, Caden, and Eddie. Eddie turning 83 and Sam and Caden turning 13. So we had the Vince Aguirre, which is my Italian family's name. We had the kind of an Olympic style with all the family members. So it was pretty cool. And then this week I've just been working. For those of you who know me, I work in sports tech. So been kind of a slow week here in the sports world. So got a lot of time to prep for this pod. But
what about Uncle Eddie? That's not the uncle we always talked about in college, was it?
No. So, I mean, and people will find out, I have about 25 uncles.
Yeah.
Everybody who's kin to me is my uncle, and then also anybody who's been close friends with my father for more than 10 years is also my uncle. But no, we talked about Uncle Tommy.
Uncle Tommy.
Uncle Tommy
the man, the myth, Uncle Tommy.
He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's the guy, is what he says.
What did you say about Kentucky fans?
Hey, Kentucky fans are sissies, according to my Uncle Tommy. And for those of you who don't know, my Uncle Tommy is a big part of my life, and I'm extremely blessed to have him in my life. And I've got him listening to the pod now, Ward. So
hey, shout out Uncle Tommy. We would love to have you on here to talk about West Virginia sports, my friend.
But before we get into it real quick, I want to remind everybody you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Just type in the Fat Katz podcast. That's KATZ. We've got the Instagram going. at Fat Katz Pod, as well as the TikTok. We're at 92 followers on Instagram. So we're 8 followers away from that big giveaway to one of our random followers. And the TikTok is up and going. We've got clips coming out. So make sure you follow us on that as well.
I have a huge shout out for our 100th follower with us waiting. You're 8 away. There's 8 more people out in this world that have not discovered the legendary Fat Katz podcast yet. Or maybe they've discovered it, but they're just not showing love on the socials. So
all you gotta do is hit that follow button, brother.
Check the boys out. Unfollow, follow back. It don't matter. Whoever, I don't care if it's one of our listeners that's been here since day one that's followed the pod. If whoever is our 100th follower, both me and Cam have a surprise for you.
Yep. And with today being episode 11, Ward, we're getting into one of our favorite new segments. It's first favorite and forgotten. First player that wore 11, favorite player that wore 11, and the most forgotten player to wear 11. Ward, I'll let you kick it off, brother.
Man, I hate that you brought up 11 because I have a bad taste in my mouth from the number 11. And the first one that came to my mind was good old unemployed free agent Mr. Carson Wentz, the one that is responsible for driving the Washington Commanders' year 1 playoff hopes into the ground. That is my first thought when I thought of number 11. Cam, what about you?
Yeah, my first guy, and this is, I mean, the more I do this, the more hilarious the first guys come because I just try to think of the most outlandish guy. My first guy is Arvydas Sabonis. For any NBA fans out there, this is Domantas Sabonis' father. Short NBA career, but one of the most legendary Euro players of all time. So that was the first guy that came to my mind when I thought of the number 11.
Cam, don't be mad. Never heard of him. But my second number 11, my favorite number 11, and I'm going to go ahead and give a little story about this guy, Julian Edelman, old Patriots Julian Edelman. And the reason why I've always been such a big Julian Edelman guy is you'll hear me and Cam talked about it a lot in college, but there's something called a walk-on mentality. Julian Edelman didn't have any big offers coming out of college or coming out of high school. He was actually a quarterback in college. Came and then he wasn't drafted coming into the NFL, came into the Patriots, or he might have been drafted. He might have been like a 7th round guy. I think he was undrafted. I'll have to go and check. But anyway, he always had that target on his back. He worked his way up to being, arguably one of the best receivers that Tom Brady ever played with. And yeah, that's my favorite number 11.
Yeah, man. Julian Edelman, Kent State product. Anybody that plays in the MAC, Cam Taylor is a huge fan. Cam Taylor is Maction. Just keep that on the record. My favorite guy, going to stay on par here. I'm sure almost every listener probably could figure this out. It's John Wall, wore number 11 at Kentucky. He is the guy that made Kentucky basketball cool again and kind of uplifted the program when it was in a rough spot. So John Wall is my favorite guy.
Raleigh Wood, John Wall. Shout out to the 919. But my forgotten 11 is going to be Atlanta Falcons Julio Jones. Kind of a lot of people forgot about Julio Jones recently. He was on the Titans last year. Cam, who's he on now?
He was on the Bucks
he was on the Bucks last year. He was on the Titans 2 years ago. Is he a free agent right now?
I feel like he's somewhere. I do not know.
Yeah.
To all you Julio fans, I apologize.
Yeah, sorry, Julio fans, but time to retire at some point. But yeah, anyway, that was my forgotten number 11 was Atlanta Julio Jones.
Okay, and for my forgotten to round it out here, it's going to be Chris Birdman Anderson. Not really a great player, but one of the fun guys.
The Birdman.
Yeah, the Birdman. He was on the Heatles. He was in New Orleans with Chris Paul for a while, and just a name that came to mind that I don't think I've heard of since he retired. So
hey, he has two rings, man. He's a legend.
And also a dunk contest participant. People forget as well. So just to kind of get into the show, that was our first favorite and forgotten. And again, guys, share your people. Tell us. We have
listener engagement.
We love it. So today on the show, we've got a new segment, and we'll get into that immediately after this. We've obviously got top stories. Got a few NBA, NFL, UFC stuff, and then some soccer and baseball stuff. Again, as the most we said, we're not a soccer or baseball podcast. Nope. We talk about it every week. Pet Peeve of the Week is back. Full Plate Empty Stomach is back. And Song of the Week is back. So getting into it, new segment. Ward's idea. So shout out to Ward, man. He keeps coming up with these great segments. I love it. We're going to call this Fans Fat Takes. So any comments, questions, concerns, takes, we're taking everything, anything from the week prior that we find would add value to this podcast, we're going to take. So start us off. We've got Josh Mellon, who's been a friend of the podcast from day one. His first question
Shout out, Mellon.
was, is Jaylen Brown a true number one in the NBA award? And then we'll answer that, and then we'll go to a second question.
I'll go ahead and start off, Cam. I know you're more of an NBA guru than me, but before we hop into it, I do want to say I'm so excited about this segment. This is going to bring some listener engagement, listener activity. I want to encourage all of our listeners, text Cam, text me, DM the Fat Katz Pod on Instagram, message us on TikTok, hit us up on Snapchat. We love it. We love doing this.
Comment on YouTube, anything you can think of. We find it.
And here soon, too, I want to add this. I haven't run this by Cam, but I want to do live listener takes. So I want to know for here soon, we are going to implement this, but I want to start calling people. So perfect example, we're about to answer Mellon's question. I want to call him, answer it with him on the phone, and I want to argue with our listeners on the mic live for everybody to see. But kind of going off that, Mellon, is Jaylen Brown a true number one in the NBA? I am going to go out of the limb and say, no, he's not. He's a great regular season player, but he's always been the number two. He's always been hidden behind Jason Tatum. And you look the way he came out and played in Game 7 when it really mattered. In both Game 7s they had this year, or I'm sorry, in the Game 7 they had against Miami this year, he just a one doesn't step up to the plate the way Jaylen Brown, or a one has to step up to the plate. Jaylen Brown did not step up to the plate when it counted, when the lights were shining bright. So to answer your question, Mellon, sorry, buddy, but no.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, as good of a two-way player Jaylen Brown is, he'll never be a true number one in this league until he gets a handle. Go watch that Game 7, bro. Max Strus was ripping him. Max Strus was getting cookies on Jaylen Brown, bro. You cannot be a number one and get stripped like that all the time. I think he had 8 turnovers in Game 7. So until that's a strength of his game, he'll never be a number one.
Yep, I 100% agree with you.
And Mellon's second question is, where does Aaron Donald stack up against the NFL greats? All-time NFL defensive greats.
Mellon, I love this question. You know, I was looking into this. I really thought about this. I grew up watching Aaron Donald play, not only just in the NFL, but in college. You know, Aaron Donald's a Pittsburgh guy. Pittsburgh's in the ACC. And, you know, kids kind of growing up and watching the way he dominated, the way he's always been undersized and the way he dominates. I think he's up there, man. I think he is he's personally in my top 5, arguably even my top 3. You know, I know when you come to the way that defensive players have dominated like him on the defensive line, I think he's the top 3 defensive lineman of all time. But the way defensive players have dominated, the only one that comes to mind in front of him is it's LT. The Giants player that broke Joe Theismann's back, broke Joe Theismann's leg back in the day. If anybody's ever watched The Blind Side, but yeah, what do you think? You think he's an NFL defensive great?
He's a great for sure. I hesitate to put him in the top 5 at the moment. You know, maybe as he leaves the game, I'll reconsider that. I would put him in like a tier 2. I think there's like guys like Dion and LT, like you said, Reggie White, Ray Lewis, those kind of guys.
What about defensive linemen?
Defensive linemen, I would put him probably at 3, maybe 4, behind Reggie White, probably Deacon Jones and Bruce Smith. Interior defensive line, he's 1, and it's not really that close. And here's some stats for you guys that kind of know who I am. This is what I do. 9 seasons, 103 sacks, 5 Pro Bowls, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and a Super Bowl champion. I think he's one of 2 guys in NFL history to win 3 Defensive Player of the Years with Reggie White. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be looked at to our generation as Ray Lewis was to the one before us. The most dominant defensive player by a mile. And it's not that – the only guy that's really been close to him in the 2010s has been J.J. Watt.
Yep.
And this guy's done it for 9 seasons to J.J. doing it at a high level for like 5.
It's healthy.
So Aaron Donald at the end of his career, to me, no matter what, he could retire today and be a top 10 guy. I still think there may be a little bit more to do to be in that top 5, top 3 category. But Ward, I'm gonna let you take this next one. I know you have some real strong opinions about our friend Dodge Crow Moss.
So my good buddy D Crow, aka the Florida native Dodge Crow Moss, had two wild things to say to me this week. He texted me and said, "Add this to the pod. I want to hear your take. This is what you call the Fat Katz hot take." Dodge said, number one, he had two crazy ones. One, he said the Suns do not make the conference finals after trading for Bradley Beal. Cam, what do you think about that?
I see where he's going with it. I still don't agree with it. I think the process behind what he's thinking is you've got 4 guys on max contracts. You're not going to be able to build out a rotation. And with that being said, I think you could put me and you on that team, and we could go win 50 games.
Yeah,
with those 4 guys. Conference final. I mean, the playoffs is different. The rotation shrinks in the playoffs. But I also see what he's saying. I mean, you've got 3 ball dominant guys and a center, DeAndre Ayton, that pouts when he doesn't get 15 shots. So I don't know how the shots and all that is going to go around. But when you just look at pure talent, there's no team in the NBA that has that much talent on their roster right now.
And Dodge kind of piggybacking off what Cam said. Dodge is a big bandwagon Nuggets fan, by the way. Dodge went to Denver one time and then came back with a Jokic jersey and thinks he's a Nuggets fan. So I think he's shooting.
Bro didn't even know that Allen Iverson played for the Nuggets.
So he's just shooting shots at the competitor in the West. But and also Dodge wrote me a book too, by the way, if any of our Fat Katz listeners can see, wrote me a book of his argument. I'm not a good reader, so I'm not going to go through and try to read this. But yeah, Dodge, I don't really know what to say about this first one. It's iffy. The second one is what I don't agree with you on. He said that Dodge's second hot take is the Miami Heat, if they trade for Damian Lillard. Obviously, the trade hasn't gone through yet, but the Heat are the front runners to get him. If the Miami Heat trade for Damian Lillard, Dodge Crow Moss thinks they get worse. Cam, I don't see this in his eyes. I guess Florida, the Sunshine States, put a little too much sunshine in his brain. Please explain this to me.
Yeah, and you kind of know my rule. I'll believe Dame plays for a different franchise when it happens.
When I see it.
So I don't put too much stock into all this talk, but to me, there's no world where the Miami Heat get worse trading for Dame, because Pat Riley's already said that Jimmy Butler's not up for grabs and Bam Adebayo's not up for grabs. So the only real package that you could see is one kind of circulating around Tyler Hero, which we saw. As much as I love Tyler Hero, the Heat got better when he didn't play in the playoffs. You're going to give up, Caleb Martin in that trade and Duncan Robinson, two guys who were second-round picks or undrafted. And we've seen the Heat take these undrafted guys and second-round picks and build out a rotation with them. I think there's no world the Heat can actually get worse trading for Dame, because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo will still be on that team.
Yep, Dodge, love you, my friend, but this is an awful take. Not a good take on this one. But yeah, let's hop into the next one. My boy Justin, big Clemson fan, is a huge fan of the pod. He always has some comments for us, and he left a long comment on the YouTube. I recommend all the boys and all the girl listeners go check it out. Y'all need to leave comments like that, because that man left a great one. But Justin wants us to get into a QB tier talk, and me and Cam were talking internally. And we're going to battle it out through the top 16 of our top 16 NFL quarterbacks in the league. Cam, you start us off with your number one.
Okay, getting into it right here. My number one, and I'm going to go 1 through 5 if that's all right.
That's amazing. Yeah, I like
Let's
that.
Go. We'll go Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson in that order.
Oh, okay. So no A-Rod in there.
Nope.
Oh man, I am a little different than you on my top 5. Most are the same. My top 5 is Mahomes, Joey Burr, Josh Allen, and I respect the OG. A-Rod is my number 4, and Jalen Hurts is my number 5. And I'll go ahead and complete my argument for A-Rod. A-Rod has been the NFL MVP the 2 out of the last 3 seasons. Last year he didn't have much of a team. He still led his team to over a 500 or to a 500 record, and he was this close to making the playoffs. They got beat there at the end, but they got beat by the Lions, but I will arguing for them. Half their defense was hurt. Half of the Packers defense was hurt, but Aaron Rodgers is still an OG to me, so I throw him in my top 5, and then I mentioned Jalen Hurts as my 5. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Cam, what's 6 through 10? Let's hear it.
Yeah, and in my mind, 4, 5, 6 could go any other way. I think 1, 2, 3 set in stone.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 can go any way, and then there's a huge drop off after that.
And I want to ask you this, Cam, real quick. What was your reason for putting Joe Burrow in front of Josh Allen at 2 and 3?
To me, Joe Burrow has had more postseason success along with the regular season success with very similar situations.
Yep.
And when I say that, although Joe Burrow has 3 really good receivers to Josh Allen's 2, really, Josh Allen has a far superior offensive line.
Yep.
Joe Burrow has the running game. I would give Josh Allen the better coach, and I would also give him the better defense. And so it's pretty even playing field in my mind, with Joe Burrow probably getting the short end of the stick. And he's performed when you need your quarterback to perform.
Yep.
He's beaten Pat Mahomes twice in the playoffs.
Yep, he has. My reason, mine was strictly off of playoffs. I looked at Pro Football Focus. PFF had Josh Allen ranked above Joe Burrow. I had to switch that up. I put Joe Burrow above simply because playoff wins mean it. They mean more. And, Josh Allen statistically has more throwing, or he has more yards, more touchdowns consistently throughout the years than Joe Burrow does. But Joe Burrow wins in the playoffs. Josh Allen chokes in the playoffs. So, Cam, get into your 6 through 10. Sorry to cut you off.
Yep. Oh, no, all good. So 6, I have A-Rod, obviously. And this is where the drop-off happens for me. At 7, I have Justin Herbert. At 8, I have Trevor Lawrence. At 9, I have Matt Stafford. And at 10, I have he who shall not be named in Cleveland.
So mine's actually really similar to this. And my 6 is I have Lamar, the new highest paid man in the NFL. I have Lamar at my 6. I have Justin Herbert as my 7. I have Trevor Lawrence at my 8, which those two, I've argued that Lawrence is better than Herbert. So I don't know. I just, Herbert's been in the league. Lawrence has had one good year. So on this list, I'm going to throw Herbert at my 7, T-Law at my 8, and I have Matthew Stafford, the Super Bowl winning quarterback 2 seasons ago, at my 9. And then I have the if anybody has watched I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but if anybody has watched the Vince McMahon memes on Netflix, on TikTok saying, "Come on out, you R-word," talking about the massage guru, Mr. Deshaun Watson, as my number 10.
Yep. So looks like 7 through 10 is exactly the same for us. Getting into 11 here, I've got Russell Wilson. At 12, I've got Jared Goff. At 13, I've got Derek Carr. 14, I've got Tua Tagovailoa. And at 15, rounding out, and I'll go 16 as well. At 15, I've got Dak Prescott. And at 16, I've got kissing cousins, Kirk Cousins.
All right. I like it. It sounds good. Not on Dak Prescott's wave, but it sounds good. My 11, I got Russ. I think Russ is a great quarterback. He had one bad year. I can't believe he's out of my top 10, but good pack, by the way, Russell Wilson. My 11, my 12, I'm actually going to throw some stuff up here a little bit. I have Derek Carr. Derek Carr didn't have a great year last year. I think you had him at your 12 too. My 13, I'm actually going to throw Tua in there. And the reason why I'm throwing Tua in there, you look at the weapons he has. You look at their defense. You look at the position. They just got Jalen Ramsey. Remember that. I think he's going to make a big push, maybe even to the top 10 this year. My 14, I'm throwing Jimmy in there. My 15, I'm going to go with old Kirk Cousins, and might get some hate for this, but screw it. My 16 is the Week 18 Player of the Year last season. Had the highest QBR ranking in Week 18 out of any other quarterback in the NFL. University of North Carolina alum, Charlotte alum, Mr. Sam Howell. Mr. Sam Howell in Week 18 of last year, for anybody that doesn't know, threw for over 300 yards against the Dallas Cowboys, the little cowgirls over there in Texas. Threw for over 300 yards, had 2 touchdowns, and had a QBR, I believe it was like 118 or something like that. So throwing him above Dak Prescott, and that's very opinion based. No, the world's not going to agree with me here, but yeah, Dak Prescott can be my 17.
Yeah, no bias over here at the Fat Cats.
Yeah.
Just looking, the only two guys that we didn't really agree on, I had Jared Goff at 12. You didn't have him in your top 16. I had Dak at 15. You had him at 17 after just having to stick with your take, it seems like, from last week.
I want to ask you a couple questions, too. So I had originally had Geno in mind, and I took him out. Where did you have Geno on your list?
I had Geno at 22, and I know that's low for last season. But in terms of a full body of work as well as what I see in the future, I had him under Tannehill, I had him under Justin Fields, I had him under Kyler Murray, I had him under Danny Dimes, and I had him under Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's better than any of those guys.
What about Mac Jones?
Mac Jones, I had him at 25, right behind Kenny Pickett and Purdy.
Okay.
So to me, Mac, I think Pickett had been better in his career than Mac.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 9 games. And then I think that Purdy has shown that he can lead a team to an NFC Championship game, and Mac has shown me that at all. So.
He has. Justin, I love it, man. That was a good talk for me and old Cam to talk about the top 16. But listeners, keep on bringing them in, and I'll go ahead and kick this one off too. So our friend Parker Wooten, huge fan of the pod. Parker has some very questionable hot takes from time to time. And Parker said, and Cam, I'm going to let you answer this. Parker said, would you rather your local WNBA team win the championship or have $7? Cam, you first.
Well, luckily for me, I don't have a WNBA team in Charlotte. I hate to disrespect any professional athlete because it's taken years to get to the top of their game. I have nothing but respect for every WNBA player ever. They're 10 times the athlete, 100 times the athlete I ever have been or will be. With that being said, and again, all due respect, I'll go get a 4 for $4 from Wendy's and pocket $3.
Cam, I'm piggybacking off of you. If you ask me to name 3, I can name Brittany Griner. Okay. And what's the girl with Caitlin Clark? She's not in the WNBA yet, the girl from Iowa. So I can name 1 WNBA player. The Phoenix, I can't name 1 team. I know Los Angeles and Phoenix have a team. Phoenix, or it's like Los Angeles Galaxy, I think, or something like that. Or that might be a soccer team.
I think that's the MLS team.
Okay, well, that tells you how much I know about WNBA. I can't name one team either. So, not gonna lie, $7, man. I can go buy a pack of chicken breasts from I can go get a pack of chicken breasts from Food Line, and me and Madison can eat for a week. So, I'd rather have $7 in my local WNBA team win the championship. Good question.
And again, all due respect.
All due respect. Cam, thanks for bringing that. Nothing against WNBA. They can all kick my tail in one-on-one. I'm not going to try to challenge any of them, but yeah, no, all due respect. Hope your sister's not listening to this, Cam. I'm sorry, Caroline.
Moving on, Ward. I think you probably would be best off to address this one.
So, Mama Taylor, Miss Beth Taylor left a comment, a very interesting comment on the YouTube video, episode 10 last week, and she says, quote, I can confirm that Cam did wear a shirt in the pool.
No, did
10.
not. You misquoted. You misquoted.
Did not. My bad. I can confirm that Cam did not wear a shirt in the pod. Congrats on number 10, guys. So, wear a shirt in the pool. So, Cam, as my hot take was last week of my pet peeve were people that wear shirts in the pool. And I have a very interesting comment to say about this too. So as you know, my girlfriend works at a country club pool, and one of her coworkers, her friend Trinity, came back to her and told her that fat kids at the pool have been swimming with their shirts on. And she can't stop thinking of my comment, which those kids, losers. But, Cam, even if Cam was a big kid, he embraced it. He took that shirt off and he went swimming. So, Mama Taylor, we love the comment. And, yeah, thank you so much on number 10, too, by the way. It's been a long time coming.
I could not believe that you misquoted my mother to try to push this false propaganda.
I promise you, I did not do that on purpose. Right hand on the Bible, I did not do that on purpose.
Getting into our last comment, and that we saved the best for last for sure here, Ward. Logan, is it Shoop?
Logan Shoop.
Logan Shoop.
NC State alum and a little bit of an idiot coworker, but yeah.
He says, this is this a text or on the YouTube?
This was a text. This was actually a Microsoft Teams message during work.
Okay. This Panthers team, this current Panthers team, has the best chance to win the Super Bowl with the rookie quarterback out of every other team that has drafted a first-round quarterback in our lifetime. Ward, let's hear it, man.
Dude, so yeah, Logan really caught me off guard when I said this, because the thing is, I was thinking quarterbacks that were drafted. He said first-round quarterbacks. And I was thinking, man, teams that draft first-round quarterbacks are not successful the year before. They do not have successful teams. The Panthers sucked last year, but they had a good offseason. And the first one that came to mind when I thought of this was Andrew Luck, because Andrew Luck came into the Colts and he immediately took them to the playoffs. I mean, outside of that, I didn't do much research on this. Cam, I kind of wanted to talk this over with you. RG3 obviously came in and had success, but he got hurt. You can't really talk on that. Last couple, the only one I can argue is Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance was drafted, but he still hasn't played out to the player that he can be. Trey Lance was drafted at pick number 3 2 years ago. I mean, Cam, who do you think?
So I've got a list here of rookie quarterbacks to make the playoffs their rookie year. These are all first-round guys as well. Russell Wilson in 2012 with the Seahawks. RG3 with the Redskins in 2012. Andrew Luck with the Colts in 2012, which Russell Wilson wasn't a first-round pick, so disregard. Andy Dalton with the Bengals in 2011. Mark Sanchez with the Jets in 2009. Joe Flacco with the Ravens in 2008. Matt Ryan with the Falcons in 2008. Big Ben with the Steelers in 2004. And Dan Marino, which is not in our lifetime, in 1983. This Panthers team is not better than any of those teams. I can tell you that they've made some offseason acquisitions, obviously. You get old boy Thielen from the Vikings. You get Miles Sanders, who at the end of the season, keep in mind, could not get reps.
Yeah.
With the Eagles running back room. And you've got a really good edge rusher. And what else?
Logan argues that they have a top 5 defense in the NFL, which I call BS on that. I mean, you look at that.
If he shows me the numbers, and please do it, show me what metrics you're using, what analytics, anything to tell me that they're top 5. Tell me they're top 10 defense, and I'll talk to you.
Yeah. See, the thing to Logan's argument that I will say, their division, the NFC South, is awful. They're none of them have quarterbacks this year. All of them are. I mean, the Falcons have what dude from Cincinnati, not Sam. What's his name?
Andy Dalton?
No, not Andy Dalton. Desmond Ridder.
Oh yeah, my fault.
Yeah, so the Falcons have Desmond Ridder, unproven. They also, they have a proven guy, Taylor Heineke, that's backing up Desmond Ridder, which I think is bullshit. But that's a conversation for another day. The Panthers have Bryce Young. Apparently, Bryce Young looks great in OTAs and looks great in minicamp. But if you check out the pod or you check out the Instagram and see, everybody looks good in shorts. Check out Cam's Instagram post, by the way. And then I guess the only proven quarterback in that division is Derek Carr with the Saints, because Baker Mayfield's won a playoff game. So I guess he has Derek Carr beat there, but I don't know.
Yeah, but my thing is, if the Panthers win that division, which you can win that division going 8-9.
Yeah. Just like the NFC East a couple years ago.
Can they win a Super Bowl? I mean, that's what we're saying. Right. We're saying they have a great chance to win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. I don't believe it.
No.
What you would be saying is that this Panthers team is as good as the 49ers last year.
Yep.
With the 7th-round quarterback who made it to the NFC. Are we saying that this Panthers team is as good or slightly worse than that 49ers team?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, again, we appreciate the love. We appreciate the support, but until you get those stats to me, bro, I can't take this take seriously.
Yeah, Logan, the Panthers suck. And yeah, just to kind of add on to that, I promise you, the 2023 Panthers would get drug up and down the field by the 2012 Redskins with RG3, the greatest rookie quarterback that we've ever seen for 9 games in our lifetime.
But yeah, that rounds out the fans' fat takes.
Love the segment, guys. Bring them on. Keep them on coming.
Keep it coming. We were going to try to not rip you guys apart too bad. Logan kind of got the short end of the stick on that one. That was a bad take, though, Logan, until you showed me otherwise. But everything else we love. This is, for the time being, while talking season, this is going to be a weekly thing, as long as we have enough comments and everything.
Bring them on, boys.
As football season starts to ramp back up, we'll see if we can fit it in. But for the time being, this is definitely going to be part of the show. And getting into the top stories of the day, Ward, we're going to kind of expand our boundaries here. We're going to get out of the sports realm for a second. What do you know any information? What is your take on this Titanic submarine situation going on?
Dude, so my mom has been following this 24 hours a day. My mom gets all emotionally involved in these things. And from my understanding, 4 people plus I guess you wouldn't call him a pilot, the captain of the submarine went down. They paid $250,000, those 4 people did, or some ridiculous amount, to go down and see the Titanic, where nobody has ever been before. No man, no woman, no child has ever been in some submarine to go look at it. And then they haven't come back up yet. And apparently they're supposed to run out of oxygen in like 24 hours. So I don't know, man. I mean, if I had $250,000 that I could throw away on something, it wouldn't be to go see the damn Titanic that's been underwater for hundreds of years. I'd personally just watch the Titanic movie or just look at YouTube videos. But I don't know, man. It's sad. I hope the best. I hope they're able to find them. I know they have a bunch of rescue teams and stuff out there. I hope that they're able to save those 5 people or 5 individuals' lives. But what do you think about it?
I mean, incredibly sad. Like you said, if I had $250,000 to throw around, that would not be the way I'd spend it. I would say if you're rich and buy a sports team. Don't go to space. Don't go in the ocean. Just buy a sports team. Like, we don't need this. Like, we weren't made to go see this stuff. Like, God did not intend us to go see this stuff. So, like, just stay away from it. I don't know if you saw this, Ward. Did you see what they're controlling these submarines with?
It's an Xbox controller, right?
Yes. It's like a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 controller. What are we doing? The second I saw that, I would be out. But in all seriousness, man, I want to say, prayers out to the family. We hope that these people can get recovered. I mean, just what could you even imagine being down there right now? What would go through your mind?
Not much you can think about. I guess one thing you can say, though, I mean, what fun when you die with money. I mean, what fun is dying with money? I guess go spend it, right?
Yep. I don't know if you saw this, Ward. NBC has already started a documentary on this.
Of course they have.
They couldn't even let the oxygen run out before.
Of course they have. And what happens when they come back up?
That will be electric. If they come back up, and I hope they do, that'll be electric. Yeah. And also, this guy that runs this better get ready to cut some checks.
Yeah.
But that's all on Fat Katz takes on political stories for the day. The biggest story in sports happened about 30 minutes ago, Ward, and that is Kristaps Porzingis is about to do a sign and trade that will send him to the Boston Celtics. It'll send Malcolm Brogdon to the Clippers, and it'll send Marcus Morris in draft compensation to Washington. Washington going full rebuild here, which feels like the 4th rebuild of our lifetime in Washington. Ward, what's your take on this?
It surprised me, man. I mean, I'm not surprised by this. I'm more curious about what Washington is going to do with Chris Paul. Chris Paul, at this point in his career, he's not going to a rebuild team. He's going to play with other superstars to win championships. I mean, he hasn't won one yet, but I don't know, man. I mean, I know I saw the news. You told me about it, and I was like, wow. I mean, I don't think ESPN has posted it yet. So, according to the Fat Katz podcast, and
according to sources.
Yeah, according to sources. But I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, man. It kind of gives us an answer on what direction we thought the Celtics were going to go.
Yeah.
The only question this really brings to me now is, like, Do you keep Al Horford? Do you keep Grant Williams? Do you keep Robert
Mhm.
Williams? Is Kristaps going to play the 4? Is he going to play the 5? With the injury concerns, are you going to keep those guys around? But I think this is step one of the kind of retooling in Boston. Also, look out for Chris Paul on the buyout market to go to Boston as well.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Do you think? I wonder if they can afford him.
Well, I mean, if he gets bought out, he'll get bought out for $15 million, and then he can sign a minimum.
Yeah,
He's
damn,
making
I didn't even
15.
think.
He's making 50 million either way.
I didn't even think of that.
So I'd look out for that. I mean, the Clippers is an option. Back to Phoenix is an option. I would assume, but Chris Paul, as bad as he was last year, can help a team win.
Hey, if you want to be for Washington, I'll give you some advice. If you want to be great, bring back the Raleigh great, John Wall. Right, Cam? Kentucky great.
I love John Wall.
Well,
John
Kentucky
Wall,
great for 1 year, and then
John Wall will do nothing for your franchise right now besides take up about $20 million.
take up a lot of cap space. Yeah, but bring in fans.
Does
They'll
this
buy
not
his jersey.
feel like the 4th rebuild we've seen in Washington since we've
Washington? There's a curse in Washington, I can tell you. And the Nationals are good, and the Capitals are good, but football and basketball, the two biggest sports in the world or in the country, the Redskins or the Commanders, not very good. The Wizards have always sucked, but
the Wizards are like notoriously known for overpaying guys and then just like getting rid of them. I'll never understand it. Like we'll look up here in a few years and like Denny Idea will be getting a max contract and we'll be like, what is going on? But
now next prediction for the Warrior or for the Wizards is my boy Dylan Brooks, man. It's either him or Charlotte. He hasn't signed anywhere yet, so I could see him in Washington.
Kung Pao. Welcome to China, my man. I mean, Dylan Brooks, goodness gracious. He always finds a way on these podcasts, and I can't stand it. Next big story is Ja Morant, 25-game suspension. I don't have too much to say on this. I don't know if you have much to add on to this, Ward.
I thought he would get suspended for at least 41. I thought they'd do half the year. They gave him 25. I'm not going to say it's a slap on the wrist, but I don't know.
It could have been a lot worse. We'll say that.
I think that time heals everything. Obviously, it was during the middle of the NBA playoffs. I think that since they didn't suspend him right away, it gave everybody time to think about it a little bit. And I think time in this instance helped Ja Morant.
I hope him and all this stuff with Zion that's coming out as well. I hope they figure it out. I really hope they figure it out because those are two electric basketball players that I love to watch that seem to have a lot going on in their personal lives that are.
Dude, have you heard about all this stuff with Zion with some porn star he's been dating and they made videos together and this actor is threatening to post these videos on social media and not good for Zion.
We'll talk about Zion for a different reason later in the pod, but like I said, man, I hope both those guys kind of figure it out here and get back on the right path. We touched on it earlier. Brad Beal to the Suns in exchange for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, second-round picks, and first-round swaps. I've kind of given you what I think on this trade. Is there anything you'd like to add, Ward?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I hope the Suns can do something about it.
One thing I will say about this is keep an eye out. I don't think it'll happen, but keep an eye out on the prospect of trading DeAndre Ayton for role players. A good spot I've heard is the Knicks get Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Obi Toppin for DeAndre Ayton, something like that. The Suns owner has made 2 huge splashes in the 4.5-5 months that he's been the owner. And kudos to him for making those moves, but this has the opportunity to get off the rails real quick if they don't watch with all these salaries and the age of all these guys. But that's all I have to say. Keeping it in basketball, Michael Jordan has not officially sold the Hornets, basically. So the terms of this is MJ's going to have a minority stake in the franchise. He'll maintain a presence within the front office. This according to NBA.com. So I would assume that that's the most reliable source on this. So MJ bought the Hornets in 2010 for $275 million. The final sell number has not been yet leaked, but is estimated between $3 billion and $4 billion.
Wow.
So I want
Who's
to
buying
say,
it? Do you know?
I don't know his name. It was a group of minority owners for the Hornets, so it's going to be the same ownership.
Okay.
Basically, it's just like a change of power.
Okay.
I did see that J. Cole is going to be a minority owner as well, so
Okay.
that's
That's
pretty
cool.
cool. But I want to say
Intimidated.
shout out to MJ for making two of possibly in human history the two biggest financial decisions ever in terms of signing with Nike and getting a stake in that, and then also flipping the Charlotte Hornets for like 10 times its value. So shout out to him. And then Ward, I know you have something. I'm not familiar with this. I hope it's not what I think it is. The Big Rocks fishing tournament controversy. This isn't weights again, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's not weight. So the Big Rock in Cam, not sure if you know this, Moorhead, North Carolina, right outside of Atlantic Beach, has the biggest blue marlin fishing tournament on the East Coast. They do it every year, second, third week of June. And anyway, this year, the winner of the tournament, the winning fish, if there's a fish above 500 pounds, if the biggest fish gets 3.2 million, and whatever boat catches the most weight in fish it's like 2 million. So anyway, this fish, if they caught, this would have been a $5.2 million fish. They get this fish in. Listen, so this is in the rule books. It's never happened before. If there's a fish that's caught that has any bite mark, anything that's happened to it in the past, or not in the past, that any bite mark or anything, it's disqualified. They catch a 600, I think it was like a 625-pound marlin, get it in the boat. It was on the last night. It was on Sunday night. The judges stayed up all night weighing this fish, all this, all that. There was a mark on it about this big where a shark had bitten it on its way in. They're reeling it in. They caught that fish for nothing. 3.2. It would have been a $5.3 million fish or $5.2 million fish for nothing. And there's a ton of backlash about that right now, because 2 years ago, the winning fish was too big to get brought in the boat. So they drug it behind the boat, and then the fish got all burnt up by engine fuel and all that. And the fish looked pretty much black. It was awful. And they couldn't even do anything with it after. But so there's a ton of controversy behind that. But for any of our listeners that know anything about the Big Rock, check it out. There's a lot of controversy behind it.
That is a wild story. I see both sides. If it's in the rule book, I understand.
It is in the rule book. So
it is a stupid rule.
Yeah.
That is not, I mean, you don't know that before you hook the fish. So I don't know. That seems like a stupid rule to me. But as we said, it is in the rule book. In the last top stories, it's kind of faded the past couple of days.
Yeah.
We're not going to get too into it because we don't want to say anything before all the facts come out. We'll say it like that. But Conor's weekend in Miami, Conor McGregor, we talked about last week, sent a mascot to the ER, and some rape allegations have come out from that same game. Again, we're not going to,
we touched on it last week.
We're not going to talk about it any more than the facts suggest. And I know that there some USADA stuff going on there as well.
Yeah, dude. So, I don't know if you saw this. So he has yet to enter the USADA testing protocol. Him and Michael Chandler, if they fight, it's not going to be in 2023. They're filming The Ultimate Fighter together. I've lost a ton of respect for Conor over this. Conor's talking all this shit to Michael Chandler online when they're at the Ultimate Fighter. Like, Michael Chandler is doing everything in his power to fight Conor McGregor. He's saying, I'll fight you at 70. I'll fight you at 185. Like, whatever you want, we can do. And Conor McGregor, so the USADA protocol, if anybody knows about it, it's a drug test. You have to do it for 6 months before you compete. And he won't enter it because if you obviously look how big he is, he's roided up right now. And I don't know, man. It's just Conor. Conor obviously talks a big game. He's a huge name in the UFC, but I think Conor's won 2 fights in the last 7 years. He's won 2 fights since 2016. So, yeah, he beat Cowboy Cerrone and who else?
Was it Nate Diaz?
He beat Nate was, I don't know if it was 15 or 6. Yeah, Nate was 16. So, yeah, since 2017, Conor's won 1 fight. So, I don't know. I mean, look at it. Connor's a big name in the game, but come on, dude, get your shit together.
Yeah, man. I don't really have much to say about Conor McGregor right now. When he fights, I'll talk about him all we can. Until then, I'll just talk about the red jumpsuit he wore to Miami because that was a piece of work.
Yeah.
We'll move on to some NBA hypotheticals and news. The first thing on the docket is a potential Zion trade is almost imminent at this point, Ward. The most suspecting trade partners here in Charlotte. The word on the street is number 2 for Zion straight up. And I will say, if that happens for the 5 or 6 games a year that LaMelo and Zion are both healthy, I will be at those games.
Yep.
That will be absolutely electric. Another thing is apparently the Hornets may want Brandon Ingram more than Zion. It makes sense fit-wise, but to me, the Hornets just want to sell tickets, and the way to sell tickets is to get Zion on your team.
Literally.
But that's all there really is on that front. Portland's also an option for number 3. The Pelicans really want Scoot Henderson in this upcoming draft, so it looks like they're doing everything in their power to do so, even if that means splitting with the former number 1 overall pick, Zion Williamson.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a huge mistake for the Pelicans if they do trade Zion. I just don't think he's so young in his career. His ceiling is so high up, and his floor, I mean, I don't know. I think he has such a high ceiling. You can't really jump gun yet, but.
Yeah, and I mean, when he plays, we see a guy who averages 26 and 8 and 5 assists on a nightly basis. So, when he plays, again, the caveat that the best ability is availability. Zion Williamson has not shown a great ability to stay on the court for his career so far.
Yep.
Moving on, I want to give a huge shout out to our guy Lou Will. Lou Williams officially announces his retirement. The 6'1" guard from South Gwinnett High School in Georgia, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year. One of the best bucket getters we've ever seen in the NBA. One of the most fun players we've ever watched in the NBA, and probably the best 6 men we've ever watched in the NBA. Officially announced his retirement just a couple weeks after Carmelo Anthony. 2 guys that made me fall in love with the game of basketball and watch the NBA. I want to give a huge shout out to Lou Will. And I hope you enjoy retirement and giving all these losers bucks at the Y and every rec league imaginable, bro.
Congrats, Lou Will.
Some sad news as we move on, and there's not really a good way to say this, but Bob Huggins has resigned as West Virginia's head basketball coach. This coming off of the heels of a radio interview in which he used a derogatory term towards the gay community. And then on Friday night, he was arrested in Pittsburgh for DUI. Ward, he had a blood alcohol level of 0.21. And Willow is here to see the downfall of Bob Huggins as well. She's super sad. I don't know if you guys can see her or not. 0.21 blood alcohol level. The legal limit obviously is 0.08. The police report, I read the police report, Ward. He told the police that he was going to a Wendy's, and he showed them the receipt to prove it. The receipt was at 1:30 p.m. that day, and he got arrested at 9 o'clock that day.
Oh.
He also told the police, the Pittsburgh police, that he thought that he was in Columbus, Ohio. So as funny as that is, I do want to say, I hope Bob Huggins figures it out. A Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and probably the greatest West Virginia coach of all time. When you think West Virginia basketball, you think Bob Huggins, you think Press Virginia. Super sad to see him go out like this, but yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's just super sad to see it go like that.
Coach Hugs, hope you get it figured out. We don't endorse drinking and driving in any way on this podcast, but you were a legendary coach. You're one of the best that's ever done it, and you are the best that's ever done it at West Virginia. But it was a very storied career. I hate you had to go out this way. I hope you get the right help.
Gigi will for sure be at his fish fry every Friday during during the season, though. Another piece of news real quick. Penny Hardaway is suspended for the first 3 games of Memphis this season for recruiting violations. nothing burger. Dude bought a house for James Wiseman. Is getting 3 games for doing that. So, and then lastly on the NBA front, the draft is tomorrow. One of the least anticipated drafts I can remember. It feels like we know the top 5 order already.
Yep.
I don't know. We've kind of went over it already. We'll probably go over it once it happens. But I did see something today, Ward. A guy placed a $50,000 bet on Wembanyama going first overall, and the payout will be $300. So
What an idiot.
I raised the question, is that a good bet or is that a bad bet?
Absolutely not. For $300, if you have $50,000 to bet, because you're supposed to bet money that you don't mind, don't mind losing, but that you can afford to lose. If you can, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. You're an idiot, dude. But hope you make $300.
In his defense, that is the freest $300 he'll probably ever make sports betting. With that being said, if you have $50,000 to throw away on sports betting, what is $300 to you?
That's very true. That is very true.
And give me your takes on that. Any sports betting takes, anything. We don't have it here in North Carolina, unfortunately. It's coming in 2023. But any sports betting takes, any locks of the week you guys got, throw them my way.
Hit us up.
NBA or NFL, college football, starting out with college football. This is some sad news as well, man. This has been a kind of a sad back end of the show. Deion Sanders might have to get his foot amputated. This coming off the heels of him getting 2 toes amputated. I'm not sure what the surgery was, but I know his leg isn't taking to the surgery, and he's got bacteria growing throughout his leg. Super sad. Hope he gets it figured out again. Yep. But that is an absolutely wild story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know much of the details on it. I saw that, and like I said, I hope he gets it figured out, but that's awful.
If you want to see something funny, though, go watch Shannon Sharp do his podcast with Deion Sanders. All he does is do foot puns the entire time.
Really?
He, walks up and sees Deion. He says, one thing I'll tell you about Deion Sanders, that man's always going to be 10 toes down. And Deion's like, bro, come on, man.
Oh, no. I haven't seen that. That's funny.
It is hilarious. And one last sad thing, and I promise we're done with sadness for this show, is I want to say rest in peace to Ray Lewis III. He lost his life at 28 years old over the weekend. So we want to send our prayers and condolences to the Lewis family.
God, this has been a sad back half of the show. I'm sorry, listeners. We didn't realize this when we were putting it together. But, yeah, pretty sad. Cam, let's get into some good stuff. R.I.P. to Ray Lewis III. And let's get into some good stuff, man.
Yeah, let's lift up the mood here a little bit. Ward, tell me about the UFC. I know it was a fight night between Jared Cannonier and Marvin Vettori. Tell me how that went. Tell me any key takeaways you have from that event.
Didn't watch the fight, not going to lie to you, but I saw Jared Cannonier, USA, beat Marvin Vettori. Not a big Vettori fan. So, Adesanya has beat both of these guys a total of 3 times. And, Jared Cannonier, which was one of the boringest title fights ever when he fought Israel Adesanya, called out Izzy, and Izzy was like, okay, sure, bud, win a couple more fights. Boring fight.
For all the listeners, and this does not matter about this card because this was a terrible card. I'm a huge Israel Adesanya fan. I've watched him since he kickboxed. I saw a hilarious scenario that could happen. So listen to this, Ward. We got Robert Whittaker getting a 3rd title fight against Israel Adesanya, hypothetically. Whittaker knocks him out, wins the title, right? And instead of giving Izzy an immediate rematch, he says, I don't count scores, I settle them. Izzy doesn't get a rematch. Like Izzy did with Alex Pereira.
No,
how perfect.
Dude, I would love to see that. That's hilarious, bro.
That would be awesome. As an Izzy fan, some of the extra stuff I don't really really like, but the fighter is awesome. But that would be a hilarious scenario for Bobby Knuckles to take the title and not give him a rematch.
I would like to see that. That'd be funny.
I say Uncle Dana will pull the veto card.
Yeah, Uncle Dana will absolutely pull the veto card.
I know we got some other sports topics, Ward, so I'm going to let you go ahead and take that off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not a big soccer fan in any way, but as all our listeners know, I love my country, and USA Soccer is kicking ass right now. Last week we beat Mexico, beat them like 4-1, beat the hell out of them. Then this week we go play Canada, beat the hell out of them. I'm not sure what the score was, but so that shows on our neighbors in the South and our neighbors in the North. They know who the alpha is in soccer. So, as my friend Derek Lewis says, USA in this hoe, and yeah, go USA soccer. And then another thing, this is very interesting. You know, not a big Oakland A's fan, but I saw that they are at just like their big brother, the Oakland Raiders. They are leaving Oakland and moving to Vegas. So they're now going to be just like the Las Vegas Raiders are now going to be the Las Vegas Athletics, which is pretty cool. You know, I saw they're getting like a $3 billion stadium. And now I wonder how long it's going to be for Vegas gets a basketball team at this point, because they got to have the big three now. So, yeah, that's some other sports news. And Cam, let's move into our favorite segment, the pet peeve of the week.
Yeah, one thing real quick. I pray that the Las Vegas Athletics are no longer. They've got to change that name, bro.
They suck, dude. Oh yeah, I know.
That's the worst thing. That's worse than football team. That is the worst name in sports.
Athletics is pretty bad.
But as you said, Ward's favorite segment, everybody's favorite segment, pet peeve of the week. Ward, I'm gonna let you start this one out because this one's hilarious.
Pet peeve of the week this week, and for all my gym people, you'll 100% get this. Cam, I'm not sure if this happens at Anytime Fitness or not, but my pet peeve of the week is the old men in the locker room at the gym. So let me tell you a little bit about the YMCA. So, you know, I work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hold on. Willow, quit acting crazy. Sorry, Willow was back there rolling on the couch. But I work out at 5 o'clock in the morning at the Y. I'm an early bird. So are old people. So the old men hang out at the Y. You know, they go to the pool, they lift weights, do whatever their thing. But something the old men like to do at the Y that drives me insane is they just lounge, man. I mean, butterball ass naked lounge. These guys just walk around the locker room. I mean, they don't even cover it. They don't even try to cover themselves up. I mean, just lounge around the locker room, might put a towel over their shoulder. And Cam, the thing that gets me is these dudes have full out conversations. I mean, like 3 dudes, all butterball ass naked, full out conversations, just talking to each other. Just like, so what do you got going on today, Jerry? What about you, Greg? Like, golly, man, like put some underwear on at least, you know, like, yeah, I get it. Everybody gets naked in the locker room. You got to change, you know, but don't try to make it longer than it has to be. Like, Cam, not wanting to ramble on this too much, but these guys, like, there's a TV and 2 couches in my locker room. These guys, they don't sit on the couches butterball ass naked, but they just lounge around the TV, man. I mean, naked as it gets, just watching highlights from Omaha, from the College Baseball World Series. I mean, I don't know, dude. Put some pants on. That's my pet peeve of the week.
That's hilarious. I have experienced that before.
Good God, man.
My favorite is the older gentlemen that are, as you said, butterball ass naked, and they're sitting bare ass on the bench. Like, dude, like, one, there's been a lot of ass on that bench, and 2, there's been feet and shoes, and I mean, these guys,
you name it,
have no remorse for the people around them. They're proud of it. I mean, we talk about
they are kids. Proud. They wear it loud and proud.
We talk about the kids going to the pool without a shirt on. How about walking around the gym locker room without anything on? Talk about confidence. But my pet peeve of the week is people who drive slow, more specifically in southern West Virginia. For those of you who don't know, which most of you probably won't, there's one road that goes through southern West Virginia. It's Highway 52, Cole Heritage Highway. It's the only road to get to, like, where my grandparents live is Mate 1. It's the only road to get 52
the one with the big bridge on it that I've stopped at a few times?
No, that's the New River Gorge.
New River Gorge, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was Highway 52 that ran through there.
So 52 is 2-lane the whole way through. You get a passing zone once every probably 10 miles. Dude, I drove back and forth to see my grandparents and my dad, obviously. There's people going 30 miles an hour in 55-mile-an-hour zones, bro. And on those mountains, you can't pass them. You'll get hit by a coal truck. That drives me nuts. If you can't drive the speed limit, you don't need to be driving. Get off the road. But that's all.
Love it, Cam. Love it.
It drives me nuts, man. And it's everybody. And we'll move on. I'm done. I was about to say something else. I'm going to cut it right there.
Yeah.
Full plate, empty stomach. What's your full plate for the week?
Dude, my full plate for the week is Wake Forest baseball. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons baseball, they are kicking ass right now in Omaha. They're actually in the championship game. They have not got beat yet, so it's looking like they're going to play LSU again. I think it's going to be LSU or Florida, so they're going to end up playing. And both of those teams have already been beat, so they're going to have to beat Wake Forest twice. Wake Forest only has to beat them once. But, yeah, dude, supporting the local team, Wake Forest actually started in like 1850, started about a mile down the road, and now they're in Winston-Salem. They left us. And, yeah, not many Wake Forest fans. But, no, that's going to be my full plate. And my empty stomach for the week, I kind of touched on this, so I'm not going to touch on it too much, is Newark, New Jersey. Just got back from Newark, New Jersey, and not a cool place to go. I mean, I guess I didn't stay there long enough. I didn't eat any pizza or eat any of the bagels that you're supposed to eat there. But, yeah, Newark sucked. It smelled really bad, and people don't know how to drive there. Cam, let's hear yours, brother. Full plate, empty stomach.
Yeah, so real quick on Wake Forest, man. Talk about the Fat Katz jinx, bro. We've talked all that
shit we talked about Wake Forest.
All that junk we talked about Wake Forest since we've started this show, and here they are in the College World Series. Shout out to all 8 of you Wake Forest fans out there. And to your point on New York, did you go see anything from like The Sopranos or?
No, dude, that's what my stepdad was telling me about. He was telling me about The Sopranos, and like I sent him a picture of the New York City skyline. He apparently that's like what is in the intro, but I've never watched The Sopranos.
Okay. So real quick, my full plate is a guy sold a rookie Wilt Chamberlain signed game-worn jersey over the weekend for $1.79 million. That is insane, bro. Congrats to you. Who's paying $2 million for a Wilt Chamberlain jersey? Not me.
Unless it turns me into Wilt Chamberlain, I'm not.
But in my empty stomach, I've got one guy, one team. The worst empty stomach of the week to me is Jack Jones of the New England Patriots. Jack Jones was arrested in the airport with 2 firearms, pled not guilty this weekend. How stupid can you be, man?
Yeah.
Taking guns to the airport. He tweeted John Morant last week and told him, yo, you better get your act right, bro. You're going to get kicked out of the league. And then he brings 2 guns to the airport, man. I don't know I don't know if he grabbed the wrong bag. I don't know what, but dude, be smarter. And my last empty stomach is the Lions' new alternate helmets. I don't know if you saw this today.
I saw him literally looking at them right now. I looked them up. I haven't seen them yet. Those are
one of the worst helmets I've ever seen in my life.
Those are hideous. I don't know.
The blue is cool.
It's like 2 stripes and then like the Lionsgate lion, like the lion on the movies.
Yeah, it looks like the Food Lion logo with with like a sword in the back. It's the worst logo I've ever seen.
The Food Lion logo. That's hilarious, dude.
But they'll be wearing those week 8 and 18. I promise you, I won't be watching those games. I probably won't watch a Lions game this year, but definitely not those 2.
You know what's a funny story? I might actually be going to the Lions game week 2. My family's going up there they play the Seahawks, and my family's going up there. I was originally going to go to the Denver game, Denver Broncos Redskins game. Not sure if I'm going yet. Just financially, it's very expensive, so I may see the alternate helmets in full effect.
What is that? Is that a Stone birthday gift or what?
It kinda, yeah. It's just Greg's family's from up there, and he goes back once a year, and it happens to be that weekend he's going back. And I haven't booked my plane ticket yet, but I'm thinking about possibly going.
Gotcha. Well, cool deal. As we round out the show, I want to remind everybody, find us at the Fat Katz Podcast. That's KATZ. Find us on Instagram and TikTok at Fat Katz Pod. We've had another hiccup with the Apple Podcast people. Spotify and YouTube for the time being. Apple Music will not take our podcast for some reason. We can't even upload it. We've got the page and everything all made. Can't get it right. So we're going to keep being diligent, keep working on that. We will get Apple Podcasts one of these days. But as we get out of here, we'll do Song of the Week, and then we'll give our final goodbyes. My Song of the Week this week is Bugatti by Ace Hood, an oldie but a goodie. Ward, go ahead and let us know what yours is.
I'm going to see. I don't know if the listeners can hear or not. Yeah. My Song of the Week is Run This Town by Jay-Z. And the reason I chose this song is because Cam and I every week put on a hell of a podcast. And we don't run this town, but we run this podcast segment. I don't see any podcast competitors that are college student or just former or recent graduate college students putting up the numbers that we're doing, putting up the content that we're doing, getting microphones, high-dollar microphones, working countless hours to put these things together through social media, through creating content. I don't see it. So me and Cam, we run this town, but we run this podcast.
We run this space, baby. We run the sports podcast space.
Nobody F's with us.
Great song, Ward. That is a classic. I'm sure more of our audience will know Run This Town instead of Bugatti. But if you haven't listened to Bugatti, I think it's got Rick Ross in it. It's got Future. Great song.
Hey, check it out. Cam woke up in a new Bugatti.
Yeah, I couldn't fit in a new Bugatti. But that's the show. I want to say shout out to our listeners. As always, you guys are what keep this going. Without you guys, we'd just be two guys talking on a Zoom meeting. I'm working on an interview. I know I said every episode.
I am too. I'm working on one too.
We hopefully next week we'll be able to get an interview to you guys, and I think that we'll probably do a Thursday or Friday episode with the interview. I say that'll probably be the episode that Ward was talking about, where we get you guys on the phone and have you argue your take, or get you on the Zoom call, whatever. But yeah, that's all I have in terms of updates. Again, we appreciate you guys, and Ward, I'll let you kick it off here.
Hell of a podcast, and Cam, I'm not going to lie, I don't think any of our listeners have ever made it this far. Nobody has taken me up on if you made it this far, I owe you a beer. But completely podcast unrelated, I wanted to tell you about this. You'll be proud of me. I bought a pair of Jordan Concord 11 high tops. They come in like a week and a half. I haven't figured out what I'm going to wear them with yet, but bought a pair of those.
If you're on YouTube, check out the shoe collection.
Yeah, see, that's what made me think of it. I was looking at it. And Cam, I want you to, that Western Carolina helmet, put it on your desk. For now on, when we talk about when we introduce the Fat Katz podcast at the beginning of the show, let's show that helmet to let everybody know what's up.
I love it. We got the helmet back there. We got 2 degrees back here.
2 degrees, big dog over here.
But yeah, man, again, thank you guys. We love the support, man, and you guys keep this thing running. Tell people to follow the Instagram. We a random listener is getting a prize from both me and Ward.
Yeah.
So 2 listeners are getting prizes. But yeah, that's all I've got. If you made it this far, Ward, what do you owe him?
I owe you a beer, so please take me up on it, because I will buy you one. I promise. You just got to take me up on it. So make it this far, please.
But Ward owes you a beer. I owe you a slap on the ass.
Great podcast, brother.
Yes, sir.